Welcome back to the Mad Monday podcast, folks. It is the second episode for 2023. You've got me, Chris Key, otherwise known as Keezy. You've also got Dai Henwood. And Dai, how fizzed are you that there's been a successful first round of rugby league with a ridiculous amount of upsets and all sorts of things happening?
Oh, kia ora, Keezy, kia ora, listeners. Fizzing because we hit the ground running, Wellington, with a win, and it's also a win we had to have. There was a lot to like. It was a Friday night game, so you got our win out the way and could just enjoy football for the rest of the week. Oh, happy man.
It was bloody fantastic. And of course, we kicked off a season-long, well, actually I say season-long, we're going to attempt to commentate every single Warriors game of the season, except for this coming weekend, because there's a rugby game, a cricket game on at the same time. We've only got 2 ACC studios. But, Dai, you and Ben Boyce got things underway nicely for 2023. Here's a little snippet of your best bits.
No mai, haere mai, kia ora, and welcome. This is the ACC's Mad Monday coverage of the first Warriors game for 2023, live from the Export Beer Garden Studios. My name's Dai Henwood, joined in the commentary box by the wonderful Ben Boyce. The season's underway, Ben.
Oh, here we go. I'm so excited. Sorry to my wife and kids, but my true love is back. The Warriors are back, and I am pumped. I'm fizzing like a Gen Z after 3 days at R&B.
Listening into commentary here.
Six
more again. Oh, get him off.
But come on.
Start a fight.
Let's go. You can't win the game. What a fight.
Going on? Oh, I haven't seen a ruckus like this for a couple of years. And it's all on. It's handbags at 10 paces because the Warriors don't want to get a player sent off themselves. But they should be worried about their own man, Wade Egan, who's on the deck. This is malicious play by Newcastle. If I was the ref, I'd stop the game here, send them all off, give it to the Warriors.
Call the game now, you reckon? Done. Up the Warriors.
Tackle, spread left. There we go, mark up. There's an early chip.
Oh! Yes!
Beautiful stuff by the old recruit, who's the new recruit, Chance Nickel-Glogstad. That's why we hired you, not for your amazingly coloured boots. You've got the teal mixed in with the lovely pink. And they did their job because you caught it and you came steaming back into the field of play. And you nullified that erect shaft of the Knights that was just pounding on us, set after set.
Oh, beautifully described, Dai Henwood.
Yes, just a few highlights of the many highlights of the first game of the season, as commentated by the ACC's Dai Henwood and Ben Boyce. But we are going to crack in with Mad Monday, episode 2 for 2023. And of course, we have to begin with the Warriors beginning the season with a huge win over the Knights, 20 points to 12.
7 seconds.
The countdown happens from the crowd here. It suddenly jumped 5 seconds to 80 minutes. Who's doing what? The crowd's called it early, the refs called it late. They're still playing, but whatever happens, I think this is a Warriors win. Awkward cuddles, and that is it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
That's the kind of definitive, it is 80 minutes, no one knows what's going on. That's the kind of call you'll get when you listen to the ACC's coverage. But once again, the Warriors getting things underway with a huge win over the Knights. Dai Henwood, as I was saying to you before coming to where I got together with a few other ACC members, and we planned to watch the Warriors Friday night. We got together at 3.
Oh.
And then it's sort of that thing where you forget that it's 5 hours till the game even starts. So I had to rewatch it this morning because I didn't remember any of it. But I tell you what, after a weak first try, Kalen Ponga putting Lachlan Fitzgibbon through there, Sean Johnson just fell off him, and I was like, oh, God, no, this is not the kind of weak start we want. After that, holy cow, we really turned things up a notch. And I've got to say, the thing I loved the most was being impressed by the new faces in town. You know, I know there's a guy you particularly want to get onto, but, Chance Nickel-Glogstad was absolutely amazing on offense, on defense as well, saving that try against Kalen Ponga. Tamaite Martin, I thought he looked fantastic. I thought our new forwards were doing amazing things. And to be honest, the thing that I took away mostly from this game was, God, I love Wade Egan so much, and we need him to stay healthy.
So Wade Egan has been getting big raps from Joey Johns and a few other like top-level pundits over in Aussie. I've always liked Wade Egan, and I now see why we have backed him. He is someone who has just gone from strength to strength. He's not flashy. A lot of stuff he did in that game, which will go unsung, is he knew exactly when to run to catch the Knights offside. He was always running at the offside marker. In fact, it was him who ran at the guy with the curly hair who got sent off.
Phoenix Crossland.
Yeah, he picked Phoenix Crossland out of the line when they were giving away a lot of penalties. He just is a staunch number 9. He had a well-deserved try. I got epic PTSD at the 3-minute mark when Lachlan Fitzgibbon rolled over because it was such a soft try early in the game, gaping hole in the line, and he just fell over. But then so much to like. Braden Williami, who came into the side late, he was a surprise. He was a surprise naming. He had a great run that then led to the chance Nickel Klugstad.
Yes, that's right.
Try.
Stepped off his left, ran about a good 20 metres, then put him in space. It was amazing.
And what I like to see, Mitch Barnett was another great player where he had that breakaway and he could have flicked it to SJ, but SJ was going to be tackled straight away. He held onto the ball, then that led to a try. We were calm in how we played that game and we deserved that win. And CNK is a massive upgrade from Reece Walsh, to be honest, in terms of the type of player we need.
Yes.
He had a bit of a stuff up early on where the ball bounced off him.
His first high ball.
Bomb. Yeah. But then he was staunch in defence. He had some amazing touches on attack. And we look like a side who can push for the 8. I mean, Marata Niokore, nothing too flashy. Perfect. Tohu Harris had showed so much starch in defence, but also he had some good plays.
Well, he put Mitch Barnett in space. He's the one who put him in space with a scucky little Josh Schuster no-look ball. And I was like, that's right, he can play in the halves.
Yeah, well, you forget he did quite a lot of ball playing, so he took pressure off to Maire Martin. We'll probably talk about Sean Johnson and the goods and the bads. Just in terms of a running game, I thought Sean Johnson had a great running game.
Yes, which we don't say often.
No, he put people in gaps. He threatened the line. It was a cool crowd down in Wellington. 17,000 people showed out, which is more than they usually get down there for the Warriors games. Streakers abound. If you do a bit of a dive on Instagram, you see when they had, I think there was 7 hit the ground at the same time.
Right. So I didn't see any of this stuff.
One dude in undies with headgear on put an amazing step and then got one of the most brutal wedgies I think I've seen on a human.
Oh, yes, I did see that. I also saw some guy just in a Warriors shirt try gas away from the security team and then trip over just as he got to the sort of hoarding sign bit and then just nail himself on the signage.
Oh, yeah. There was some... there's one of the social media video guys for the Warriors was on the sideline and he just filmed them coming from all sides, but they all got smashed in textbook tackles. We had to win this game. The Knights are a bottom 4 side. They lost Tyson Frizzell early, who is their attacking weapon. Also, there was the Knights, Adam O'Brien, their coach, called it controversial, Kalen Ponga being taken off by the independent doctor.
Yeah, but even though he, it was pretty clear he hit his head and was rolling around on the ground and,
Yeah, and then refused to leave, but he got taken off. I just think the Warriors deserve that win.
100%, 100%. Just on the Knights as well, I mean, I know they are a bottom 4 side, aren't they? And, there were a few signings that I thought was quite brilliant that they'd made, shifting Ponga into 5'8", and a few just other additions like Adam Elliott. He had to come off the bench because I think he's coming back from injury. But their forward pack looks really soft. What Jacob and Daniel Saifiti, I thought they were going to come out with foaming at the mouth. It's just so soft in there.
They still ran pretty hard, the Saifiti brothers.
Yeah.
I'd hate to tackle either of those two dudes. I mean, I'd smash them, but that's different. That's, I'm hard at. I was expecting more from them. I also think we've got a pretty good defensive forward pack at the moment. What I loved was where we lacked last year was when Lodge and AFB went off
the field, yes.
We always had this dead period, but our forward rotation seemed great. Ale had a great game, who the ref called Ale. The ref, like everyone's on board now except the ref.
Yeah, the commentators are even starting to sharpen up on quite a lot of the names I noticed.
Yeah, Ale was great. Bunty Afoa, fire! I've got the Bunty Appreciation Society t-shirt on. He ran a great line, and this brings me to the running lines. I felt like we actually played to a game plan. Did you notice whenever the short balls were happening, our forwards were running proper jinking little lines?
I didn't notice it because I was quite steamed. I will go back and watch it again.
So Bunty on that line, he just stepped and angled himself beautifully. Jackson Ford, who I'll talk about later, was just so good when you see these signings who aren't big money signings.
Well, he was under the radar, right? Jackson Ford from the Dragons, I think.
Yeah, came from the Dragons. He's played for the Roosters as well. He's never really had a lot of first grade, but he wasn't even meant to be selected for round one, but you saw, that's why. He's obviously the coach sees. I love what I see from this, but then we're playing the Roosters this weekend. So that's going to be a bit more of a bellwether against a side that's got Tedesco, Suali'i, an amazing halves combination, big boppers front.
As long as they're not like hurting from a recent embarrassment or anything like that, then I think we could be able to handle them. But more on that later on. Our back row, right? I love exactly the back row that we rolled out there with New Corte, Jackson Ford, who I know you were very high on going into this season. I didn't have in my super coach team, but I think they might have to change. And then Tohu at the back, just playing vintage Tohu, 50-plus tackles, big minutes. I love that rotation. And it's that thing you were saying where when you lost Adam Fanua-Blake and Lodge, we didn't have go for, we didn't have that energy. I think we've got it so that no matter who we're cycling through in terms of front rowers, I think that back row is going to carry us through. I absolutely loved it, and it didn't include Josh Curran for a lot of it, which is interesting.
No, because technically Nearcorte and Barnett could play front row as well. So when your back rowers are pretty staunch players, then that just adds to it. Then, when Josh Curran came on, I was like, oh, that's right, we've got him. I love Josh Curran.
He's the man.
So we've got... It's the first time I feel we've just got a strong side. I'll admit I was worried about Edward Cossey, but
oh my God, the Cossey Club.
The Cossey Club was in full force. It was just anyone could get a wristband on the door, and the drinks were half price all night at the Cossey Club. He was going off. He did have an issue which led to the Hymel Hunt try where he jammed in a bit too quickly and left a lot of space on the edge. I tell you who's really cemented themselves, Marcelo Montoya.
Yeah.
He is cement running the ball back.
Yeah, and his defence as well.
His defence is great. But I forget, when he was returning the ball, he got over 200 metres in this game, along with Chance. It looks like it hurts to tackle him.
Yeah, because you can notice there are a few guys in the league. I think Suali'i's another one where you watch them run into contact and they don't slow down at all.
No, and
Bunty as well. Bunty R4.
Yeah, where they run really hard and then sort of seem to accelerate a bit faster into contact.
Yeah, like this isn't even my final form. Here it is. And for some reason, it's just devastating. And oh man, it would really hurt to tackle Marcelo because he's not beefy or anything. He's just pure rock.
He's just muscle and bone.
Yeah.
So it's so nice having that. And then also seeing, for me, the people we mentioned, the standouts for me, Wade Egan, Tohu, Chance, Nickel Klokstad, and Montoya. So new signings, great. SJ, great running.
Yes.
Where I worry, our in-game kicking was very average.
I don't recall Tamaiti Martin having much of a kicking game either.
No, so neither does Volkman or Metcalf, who are our backup halves. So this, I think, is a bit of a worry because we did a lot of limp midfield bombs.
Yeah.
We got a penalty on halfway and SJ almost kicked it backwards going out.
That's right. Oh my God.
Where we got the penalty on halfway and he kicked it out and we tapped half a metre behind halfway. That's where I worry also when we have harder sets getting off our own line, which we will have against the Roosters. Where's that big boot that can get a 40-20 to get us out of trouble? It can really kick it down to the corner. Also, there were a couple of moments in there where we were a bit lost on attack and we should have been going for grubbers into the in goal just to buy time. And it's where watching the Cowboys game where I just rue. We never really held on to Chad Townsend, and Chad Townsend's, for me, a Wade Egan of the halves. He's the guy people don't really rate.
No.
But he's so solid.
Solid, yeah. He just plugs all those gaps there. It is interesting with Sean Johnson because, as you say, I mean, I feel like we've got him to the point where he's fixed the thing we were whinging about last season, which was just run the ball. He actually had a few runs, which was good to see. Also, like, deft touches. That corner try from Kusi after the Mitch Barnett run up field. A little hesitation, dummy, and then pass the ball, which opened up just enough space for Kusi to dot down. So he's doing the right things in areas. I mean, how old is he now? 31, 32?
Yeah, I'm not that sure, but I think around that mark's right. I mean, he did what was asked of him, and if we can just nail the kicking, and also he seems a little bit out of form with the conversions as well.
I think he only made half of them, I think. So
yeah, so I mean that comes home to bite you in the ass because if we nailed those, then that was 24 points. But no, hey, great start to Marty Martin. When they slow-mo on him, he is gorgeous.
Oh, he's hot. He's a hot dude. He's a dude.
Oh.
Genuinely, we interviewed him at the beginning of last year over in Queensland. And we sat him down on a seat, and I'd never met him in person before, and I was in awe because I don't, I'm not over here losing my shit over hot dudes, not often anyway. And holy cow, I couldn't believe it. His complexion, like the skin tone, everything, amazing. And to see him absolutely smash the shaved ape, as Hurley likes to call him, Bradman Best, and drag him over the touchline there, amazing.
Yeah, Bradman Best, the human steroid.
And he got nailed by Kusi as well, which I loved.
We showed our defence. Aside from the 3-minute mark where they waltzed over, I think there was a lot to like about for our defence. So the Warriors get a hefty pass mark from me.
That's right. Well, first win in the bag. It's good to see. Let's move on to the Dally M's. So there's a new way they are doing scoring at the moment, Dai. I mean, you'll know more about this than I do, but I believe everyone gets 12 points, which they then dish out. However, you can give a maximum of 6 to your favourite player, right? And then the rest, the 6 leftover points have to be doled out to other players. But Chance Nickel-Klukstad, he is tied with Harry Grant, and I can't remember who the other person is, as the only 3 players with the maximum amount of points over the weekend. And I guess it's on the back of awesome try, just great on defence in general, and also saving that try against Kalen Ponga as well. Yeah,
he deserved that for sure. Then Tohu Harris took away 3 points. Wade Egan 2. I could have scored that the other way around. And my man Jackson Ford took away 1 point. So it's so nice for Chance on a return to the club to start off with a bloody good game.
Blimmin' oath. I spoke wrong, by the way. Cherry Evans also got 6 points. He was good.
Bet he is.
Lachlan Ilias, is he going to be a superstar this season? Holy cow. And Jeremy Marshall King as well, who was an absolute beast. But we'll move on now from the Warriors game to the stonker of the round. We're talking Penrith getting their beans from Brisbane, but not really. It was an upset loss. And here's a bit of a highlight of the old commentary there.
Here's a nice ball and some great stepping. Ezra Mann breaks through. Farmworth chasing. A kick for Oates to chase. This is unbelievable. Look at this for a neck and neck.
It's a try.
Has he scored? Who's got the hand first? Herbie thinks he's outgunned them all.
Yes, 13 points to 12. The Broncos getting the win there. Dai Henwood, I mean, that's 2 losses in a row for Penrith now, isn't it? The Super Club Challenge. They've also the World Super Club Challenge, whatever it's called, and the opening game of the season against the Broncos. 2 questions. Firstly, is that it? The Penrith done? Is this their dynasty over? And secondly, holy cow, are the Broncos going to win the premiership this year?
Well, I think the problem with winning a premiership 2 years in a row is you get your team picked apart. They got the eyes taken out of them. Api Koroisau is a huge loss. Viliami Kikau, huge loss. I was really impressed with Sonny Luke, who came on.
Do you think he came on a little too late?
Yeah,
That's so
definitely.
clunky with Mitch Rain.
Mitch Rain.
Mitch Kenny?
No, Mitch Kenny.
Mitch Kenny, yeah. With
So
him out
I
there.
agree, but this is what they're doing with Appy last year. Mitch Kenny would play the first 20 minutes as like a real stable number 9.
Yeah.
Then Appy would come on and just run. But I think that their attack was too clunky.
It was really
And
clunky.
I'd play Sonny Luke for the full 40. So I think it's not going to be Penrith's year. I think, to be honest, when you look at a team, how hot Souths came out of the blocks, they're a great example of they got rid of Reynolds and everyone was they'll fall apart. But actually, you can see why they're desperate to hold on to Lachlan Ilias because he is an amazing player. So Penrith are going to be in the top 8. They're going to be playing finals footy.
So you don't even think top 4? Would you go as far as to say that?
Yeah, I think they'll be about 5. 4.
Wow.
I had them at 4 and the Storm at 5, but I think it might be the other way around. The Storm are pretty good. My little stat of the week is that both premiers from the Super League and the NRL got beaten by 1 point within 12 hours of each other. St Helens had pretty much mirror game to how Penrith did against Leeds Rhinos. Yeah, I've got enough time on my hands to watch Super League.
Tell me we're not going to have to start covering the Super League on this podcast.
And Brisbane, I picked Brisbane to be pretty shabby, but Brisbane looked good. Herbie Farnworth was phenomenal, and he's off to the Dolphins.
He's been a guy, though. Have you noticed that over the past few years, whenever Herbie Farnworth was on the field, playing in the centres, or sometimes I'd have him out on the wing as well, he would show personal moments of brilliance, but he'd only be playing while Staggs was out or, while they were lacking someone, and I couldn't understand why they wouldn't give him more time.
Yeah.
And now he's getting the time and he looks fantastic, but he's leaving. I'm a massive fan of him. In terms of Penrith and their attack, that left side used to be so devastating, right? Without Viliami Kikau there, even quick service from Api Coruscant providing the space, Taylor May's not out on that wing anymore. I thought they'd drag To'o across and put him there, which is a large part of the reason why I drafted him in Supercoach this year. And then you've got Luke Garner, who is quite a prolific try-scoring back row when he gets going, even when he was at the Tigers. I think it will work itself out. I think they'll be able to score a lot of tries down there, but I'm going to have to give them about 5 games to work their stuff out because they were all...
they look clunky.
Whenever Luai got the ball to put him in space, he was in the wrong spot or he was slightly ahead of the play, things like that. So I think how long do you give Penrith to iron things out and get back to their...
I think that 5 week
5 games
is a good point. Stephen Crichton was probably one of their best.
Yeah, he was.
And, I mean, he's going. In terms of Brisbane, how important's Adam Reynolds? Like, he knows how to dust a game. He knows how to just put them in the right spot. He seemed to have a small injury himself, but he is just doing what they need to lead them around the park because they've got these younger talents like your Carrigans.
Oh my God, Carrigan. Payne Haas as well.
Payne Haas.
God, I love those guys.
So Kevy seems to be getting them exactly where they need to be. So, no, hats off to Brisbane.
Bloody oath. And as I mentioned in last week's episode, I did have Brisbane as a little smoky of mine to make the top 4. I think they showed signs of it last season, and I think even though they've taken down Penrith in round 1 and looked pretty sharp, I do think they'll run out of a bit of gas. I do think Adam Reynolds, just because he's pretty fragile, while he's out there, he's amazing. But if they can if he gets a little mid-round injury, a mid sort of tournament injury, then comes back towards the later ends of the, towards the business end of the season, I think that'll work well for them.
They're also pretty prone to an off-field drama.
Brisbane. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Who isn't, though? Dai?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I've had, I'm mainly on-field dramas, to be honest.
All right, well, we're going to take a short break here on the Mad Monday podcast. When we return, a few special mentions from the round, a bit of a new segment in Supercoach Corner, and, of course, Dai Henwood off the back fence. Welcome back to the Mad Monday podcast with Chris Key and Dai Henwood. It's time to go through the special mention of the round. And, well, to be honest, we could have probably led with this result if the Warriors hadn't absolutely towed up the Knights. It was the brand new Redcliffe Dolphins making their debut in the NRL, taking down Dai Henwood's backup team when he's not supporting the Warriors. He's all over the Roosters. And not only did they beat them, they gave them a bit of a pantsing. What was the score in the end, Dai? 28-12?
28-12.
Oh, no. Let's hear a bit of commentary from that fiasco.
Marshall King takes it out the back. Through the hands, Tabuafido. Oh, he's unmarked. Jermaine Asako will go in for his second try. And the Dolphins go further in front. And Suncorp Stadium erupts.
Ah, did it what? Can I just say, seeing the Dolphins, you know, they've been around in the lower leagues to get promoted to the NRL. Everyone writes them off. People are saying they're going to win. If they win 5 games this season, they'll be lucky. They then go ahead, come out the gates firing, Wayne Bennett's men, take down the premiership favourites, I would say, the Roosters, who have got double the salary cap of every other team under their little sombrero there. You know, they've got players on the Roosters side who are turning down invitations to join other teams for double the money. They're saying, no, we want to stay here. We want to play for Trent Robinson because he knows how to get us the wins. He knows how to build our careers properly. And then you come out, get pantsed by the Dolphins. Dai Henwood, I am intentionally saying a lot of hurtful things towards your second favourite team there. Even though you're a massive Roosters supporter, right?
Yeah.
I had a big grin on for the full 80 of that game, seeing how masterfully Wayne Bennett has not only chosen the players that he has, he's pulled experienced guys who have won before, guys like Felice Kafusi, who I swear was on meth for a lot of that game, the Bromwich brothers, guys that are just going to play the full 80, make a crap load of tackles, boss the younger players around. Their backline is so young and inexperienced. And one try there, I think it was that one we just heard, it was Kafusi yelling at the young half there, Katoa, no, run it, don't kick it. Pass it to Kafusi, Branko Lee out to Jermaine Asako, who scored a second try there. I just think it's fantastic how he's managed to get this team gelling in such a short amount of time.
First of all, I don't endorse the hate speech around the salary cap of the Roosters that you're saying.
Allegedly.
And this game really cocked my doodle-doo, let me tell you that. Because, look, first of all, the Dolphins run out in their off-brand Iron Man outfits.
So good.
The whole stadium's in their off-brand Iron Man outfits. You got the Roosters. I thought this was going to be a bit of a hammering when the Roosters got away. I thought, the Roosters just haven't clicked yet. But then, I don't know. This is rigged. This was rigged.
That's not rigged. How good was Jeremy Marshall-King?
And look, Jeremy Marshall-King's always been a really good player, but he stepped up to another level.
Underutilised by the doggies is what I'm thinking.
He grew another penis and put a shoe on it and called it a leg, but it was obviously a penis. And he had such a good game. This just as Wayne Bennett written all over it. A team with no superstars that he just brings everyone up to the level. He gives them belief. And they came out and they deserve that win. And I mean, even though the Roosters are my second team, I've got to say, it's always good for a new franchise to hit the ground running. Because
absolutely.
I don't want... The worst thing that could happen to the 17th team is they get a couple of wooden spoons in their first few years. Everyone writes them off and then whatever. So, I mean... You do have to, a lot of this was about emotion. It was the Arthur Beetson medal because Arthur Beetson, he played for the Dolphins. His final wish was that if the Dolphins get into the NRL, their first team game has to be against the Roosters.
Oh, wow.
And so that's what happened. So this became the Arthur Beetson Trophy. So there was a lot of emotion.
That is incredible.
Behind this.
Oh, wow. I just got goosebumps.
Arthur Beetson, such a legend, not only on the footy field, he was a legend Indigenous player, so he did so much for the game and recognising Indigenous players. Both here and across the ditch. Just a reference for Keezy there. He did nothing for New Zealand Indigenous players, but he did so much for Indigenous players in Australia. So it was great for them to have a win. All I was thinking, if they were sponsored by One New Zealand and they had the Iron Man logo. In the middle of that shirt, it would be a full Iron Man costume.
Oh, man. Should try to find a way to make that happen without pulling funding from the Warriors.
I think I think Hurley texted us to our group during this gig. It looks like Fisher-Price, my first league costume.
It's the light beige on the sides, It looks terrible.
Yeah, it's the sort of, it's weird they haven't really committed to gold.
No.
But it felt like they wanted to go gold.
Yeah, but beige was cheaper or something?
Yeah, they do sort of look like, they look like an American team for some reason.
Well,
But
you'd hate to get beaten by a team wearing ridiculous colours like that, wouldn't you?
especially when you've got the tricolours of the Roosters.
It is a beautiful combo.
It's nice to see Luke Keary playing in headgear.
Finally wearing headgear.
Finally wearing headgear.
Oh my god! Because I've got him pegged as a bit of a, if he goes well this season, I've got him on my Supercoach side because I reckon he could.
When he's on fire,
he's
he
incredible.
is unstoppable. But because he's a small bloke, he takes some huge. And people criticise halves for not running the line. He runs the line.
I know, and every time he does it, I put my hands on my head and go, "What are you doing? Pass it!
You'll get killed.
You're gonna get murdered out there." But full credit to him and Sammy Walker. Actually, they do take the line on, even though they're half the size of me. By the way, big shout out to you and Aiken for just happy as Larry to play centre for the old Dolphins there. Yeah, I'll play centre, no worries.
I know, like when we bought him to the Warriors as a centre, and
we
then
famously weaken the centres.
We had 0 centre combinations, which we're still fixing.
Yeah.
But no, big shout out to the Dolphins. While we're on special mentions, I do have a couple of other teams I'd like to do a shout out to. Souths, to me, look the best of the entire round. I love seeing Shaquane Mitchell.
How good was he? He was incredible.
He had his best game of first grade that he's had. Latrell is one of those guys who didn't get massively involved but still was asking questions. Lachlan Ilias, I love a small guy who still puts big shots on.
Yeah.
He did 2 good shots to save tries. He scored a try himself. They just look... And so Souths always were dangerous down the Latrell edge. Cody to Latrell
The left side,
to Alex Johnston. It was the other side that was firing with Campbell Graham, Keon Kolomatangi. They were just on fire. So that's my son's team, and I love a bit of Souths. Also, that the Cowboys-Canberra game was a bit of a barnstormer. They got up 18-0, and then Canberra slowly chased it back, and then Chatty McChatterson just chatted the ball over for a 1-point win, and they look great as well. So all in all, it was a stonking round of footy, I thought.
Just quickly on that Sharks-Rabbitohs game. Sharks made a lot of handling errors. Obviously, they didn't have Nico Hines there. They then bring in Braden Trindle.
He stepped up.
What? Why can't we have Braden Trindle in our halves? You know, they've got him on ice for whenever old hot guy goes down. He comes out and is setting up tries, scoring tries, putting guys in space. He's exactly the kind of guy that we could put our entire franchise behind, you know?
What got me with Braden Trindle is he came in, but he looked like he'd been in the combination and the system playing the whole time. He seemed to know...
Plug straight in.
Where everyone was.
Yeah.
Whenever he kicked the ball, he had his chases going on it.
Well, before Hines came across to the club and Trindle was playing quite a lot, I think it was post Sean, I can't remember, but he was playing quite a lot, maybe due to injuries. He was actually a bit of a gun. And so for them to have him just waiting in the wings, mate, that is just...
Because I was wondering how we got Volkman and Metcalf off them. And then
that's
and then
why.
I was like, oh no, you've
got a full blown
Trindle is full blown awesome backup. But you've got an exciting few months of footy ahead of you, and I can't wait. Finals time is going to be awesome in September.
It certainly is. Already talking about finals time, and it's about 6 months away. I'm so pissed up. All right, it's time to move on to a brand new segment. This is called Supercoach Corner. No music. We're not going to... Yeah, okay, we'll put music in next week. Yeah, cool. That wasn't embarrassing. So Supercoach Corner, this is fantastic because we do have a Mad Monday Munters group that you can join now. It's not too late. You can join at any point during the season. Whoever comes out on top at the end of the season, we'll have a massive prize sorted out. We're just trying to figure out what it's going to be. Whether it's the suggestion has come forward that whoever wins it gets to have a Mad Monday on Mad Monday with Mad Monday. I'm sure there'll be a Warriors jersey thrown in there, all sorts of stuff. So 160442, do go along and join our Mad Monday Munters group. But Dai Henwood, Who were the guns who really did well for you opening round of NRL 2023?
Well, I finished with 1,077 points, which still leaves me languishing at 26,000th place, which is a little bit further down than I'd be hoping for. But I still did okay. My guns for me, Harry Grant fired. He was a late inclusion. Once Nico Hines was ruled out, I got rid of Nico Hines, shuffled things around, put Harry Grant in. And the wild card for me was Ruben Garrick. He got 110 points. And the cheapie, come good, who I think a lot of people had, was Jermaine Hopgood at the Parramatta
Eels.
And he got 101. So I was very happy with that. I'm just going to have a little look at the Mad Monday group and see where we're heading there. So we've got Let's Gone Waz is number 1. Michael, he got 1,185 points.
In the Mad Monday Munters group. See, mine isn't showing up yet, which is a bit annoying.
Oh, you've got to refresh the app. And I'm 48th in the Mad Monday Munters League at the moment. So we've got a lot of good Supercoach players in there.
We do. I'm just going to view that now. Yeah, I'm 32nd. So just beating old Lithby Halligan's there.
So what points did you finish on?
Oh, mate. I finished on 1,101 points.
Oh, great start, Keezy.
Thanks, mate. Thank you. Look, a few things that I'd like to change. Jermaine Hopgood, I did not know he'd play the full 80, make 60 tackles and run for almost 200 metres. That was the most ridiculous performance I've ever seen. Just a pure workhorse. I don't see him doing that every week.
No, and the worry for people wanting to get on him is, bear in mind, he's filling in for Ryan Madison.
Yes, there's Madison's coming back. You've also got the likes of Sean Lane. So I did what you should never do in Supercoach, which is jump on Bryce Cartwright. So I brought him on. He got 59 points for me, which I was quite happy with.
That's actually very good for Bryce Cartwright.
I know, but he didn't do any of his ridiculous offloads, so I think he could get a couple more games with high ceiling, set up a try or something, and then...
The thing with Bryce Cartwright, I've been stung with him. I'll bring him in and you'll get 100, and I'm like, then you'll get like 10.
Right, I can't wait for that.
Because he's all or nothing, Bryce Cartwright.
He really is. Someone who really flopped. So this is because I'm new to Supercoach, right? I do draft. I've done draft leagues for about the last 10 years. So this is my first ever season. When Khan Pereira, the winger for the Titans, who everyone's got, do you have him out of curiosity?
Yeah, I do have him, but I didn't play him.
Yeah, so he was on my bench too, right? So he didn't get played. He only got 5 points. Is that okay because he was a bottom dollar cheapie, right? So
the thing is, he's a bottom dollar cheapie. His break even is 33.
Right. 33 points.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when it comes to the third round, he needs to have had an average of 33 or above. But the thing is, because he's bottom dollar, he can't lose any money.
Right. So is he the kind of guy you can just leave plugging away, or?
Yeah, you just can leave plugging away. But the problem is, he becomes an auto emergency nightmare. Whereas if one of your players got ruled out just before the game, your lowest scoring
off the bench
gets played. So then you end up with him getting 5 or whatever. But if you're looking at the moment, this is early doors. But for people looking at Supercoach, the most traded out players are looking Paul Alamotti, who I had.
Are you trading him out, or? And actually, here's another question: like, should I be making any trades round 1?
You have a limited amount of trades, you see.
46.
Yeah, so you don't want to get too trigger happy. It's also quite nice to just test the waters.
Yeah.
Because it looks like people are trading in. Jesse Arthurs is a big trade-in target. Logan Bayliss, Brow, Kurt Capewell, Patrick Carrigan, Selwyn Colbo. So it looks like everyone's hungry for the Broncos.
But see, this is so... I went for my wingers, right? I decided because my game plan and draft is get as many dudes who could score 150 on any given day as possible. So while everyone's up there getting
it's a great technique.
Yeah, they're going for your Cameron, your gun back rowers,
Cameron
Murray, and those guys, your Fafitas and all that. While they're getting them, I'm just loading up on gun wingers. However, if those wingers don't pop off, you're screwed, which is what happened in my draft league. But I went for Valentine Holmes and Nick Meaney because I don't think Pappenhausen's coming back.
Nick Meaney had a great game.
And the other thing with Nick Meaney is everyone's like, oh, he's just filling in for Pappenhausen. But he filled in for him all last year and was absolutely sensational.
I get worried that Pappenhausen might sadly be on a slow track to medical retirement because
absolutely, yeah.
He's one of those players that just, came out of the blocks, but he looks so fragile whenever he's on the field now.
He is, and he's built like Sam Walker, He's got a big mullet, but that's about it. So I worry about him too. But I splashed out Val Holmes, Nick Meaney, and then I splashed out on Brian To'o, as I mentioned earlier, thinking he'd be back on that left wing. He'd be running over 250 metres a game or whatever.
Who did you captain?
I captained Tedesco because he was taking on the Dolphins. He'd be easy money. But holy cow, I should have captained Adam Dwayhe because I've got him in the 5/8 position. He got 89 points,
Yeah, it was I captained Nathan Cleary, who got 27 points.
Did he? He got 53, didn't he?
No, I got 53 with the captain on him.
No, you got 53 without the captain.
Oh, sweet. Sorry, I got 106. I was looking at it the wrong way. I was looking at it going, how did that work out? I also thought Will Warbrick was going to pop for the Storm. He didn't really get the ball, to be honest.
Well, that's the issue you have with some of those wingers is especially, if they've got a gun centre and so, although he's got Remus Smith or someone.
Yeah, I've got Remus Smith.
Yeah, but this is a kind of a point I wanted to make to any super coaches out there who are freaking out is don't freak out. It's the first round, right? And the Melbourne only just won against the Eels. They scored 12 and 13 points, I think it was.
So wait till they play a Knights or
exactly.
Titans?
Exactly. The Panthers lost, don't freak out. The Sharks, who I've got, I was loading up on Sharks for a bit there with your Mulitalos and your, who's the name? The Talakais.
Teague Wilton, who went pretty well at 66.
Yep, Teague, he's a gun as well. But don't freak out because these gun teams are going to perform a lot better next week, I think. Really quick question. What the hell's a trade boost?
Oh, trade boosters. So you have 2 trades each round.
Right.
But then you have 5 trade boosts. So you have 5 rounds where you could use 3 trades.
And do you have to use them those rounds?
No, you can use them anytime. So you can just tap trade boost and it gives you the 3. But the problem is once you start using 3 around, you're burning through your trades.
Right, I see.
So it doesn't give you any more trades.
It just lets you do more in 1 week.
It just lets you do more because you might get stung by the buys and an injury or something.
Right,
but
okay.
It's a good idea to map out, look how many rounds there are, sort of divide that by your trades.
Oh, God.
And
Ben Hurley would love that admin.
yeah, there's nothing more Ben Hurley likes than being in his Titans onesie doing Supercoach admin.
One last quick question as well for Supercoach Corner because I'm just making the most of having you here. Do I have to bring in the Hammer? Because he looked so much better than he looked playing for the Cowboys. He was in everything. Him and Jeremy Marshall King were just teaming up. Like Marshall King would take a hit up. The next hit up would be the Hammer at dummy running and getting decent meters. Is he a kind of guy that you bring in? Because historically, he hasn't been that good for Supercoach.
No, historically, I got stung early on by him because when he came in, I was all excited because everyone sees the speed man, he's going to get the ball. But then he was very limp at the Cowboys, Supercoach-wise.
Yes.
Because he wasn't hitting the ball up.
No.
And then he seems to be playing a whole different style of game. I'd probably keep an eye on him, but I don't know whether I'd bring him in straight away.
Yeah, because he's kind of a cheapie. And then when you are looking to switch things up and bring them in, is it just before their price rise? Is that the way to do it?
Yeah, the ideal time is to you want to get rid of someone who's about to lose money,
right, and
bring someone in who's about to gain money.
Right, okay.
And so a little rule of thumb is a trade should be worth about $100,000
minimum.
Yes, to make.
Yeah, okay.
So you're making about $100,000 off them.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're just burning. You don't want to just be burning trades.
Okay, cool. And a quick shout out to the Rules, Connor, who's currently coming 200th in the Mad Monday Munters group and is dead last. So yeah, if you don't want to be
the rules.
Yeah, if you don't want to be named and shamed every week, I suggest you try and get off the bottom of that group. Once again, if you do want to join 160442, we will have prizes at the end of the season, so you may as well get stuck into it. Speaking of getting stuck in, Dai Henwood, are you ready to go off the back fence?
Yeah.
Oh, a long kickoff. The offload to Henwood, and he's off the back fence. Boom! time.
Oh, it was a bloody quick trip on Saturday morning to the blue warehouse, the one with the stationary warehouse, to get myself a laminator. Why? Because I just bought a fresh photo printer and I printed out an A3 picture of Jackson Hastings and I needed to get it laminated for the shower, baby. Woo! There's nothing better than not Jackson Hastings. Jackson Ford.
Yeah.
I was sorry, I was too excited about Jackson Ford. I said Jackson Hastings. Jackson Ford. Everything about him. He's got a buzz cut that's not too long. It's not too short. It's just sitting on his head like a furry little condom. I love the guy. I didn't know much about him when he came from the Dragons. I didn't know much about him when he was playing at the Roosters. But I know everything about him now. I know everything about him because I look at him every morning in the shower, right in the eyes, and I go, Jackson Ford, you legend. He just did everything that was asked of him. He had starch in defence. He had starch. It was like running into a potato factory. He knew how to do the tackling, and then he had some deft touches. Boom time fend, down the sideline, not forcing passes, just doing everything that was asked of him. He's got a crisp jaw like a craft knife. You could just cut your willy off on his jaw. It's so dangerous. I love you, Jackson Ford. Even though I've got the Bunty R4 t-shirt on, we're getting a Jackson Ford t-shirt made. We're getting Jackson Ford undies made. Oh, Jackson Ford. I love you, baby.
Ah, yes. Dai Henwood off the back fence there. I think he's a small fan of Jackson Ford for the Warriors.
So
there.
much of a fan, I got his name completely wrong the first time.
It's all good, mate. You were fizzed up and that's all that counts. All right, before we wrap things up here at the Mad Monday podcast, we've got to look to the week ahead. The Warriors, they are taking on Dai Henwood's Roosters, who are languishing towards the bottom of the NRL table there at the moment, which is good to see. 5 o'clock Saturday night. It's a great time. They are playing over in Sydney. The Roosters at home. Dai Henwood. How do you think the boys are going to go here? But when I say the boys, I mean the Warriors.
So it's always a bit depressing playing a Roosters side that's just been beaten in
Fresh
a game that they should have won, because Trent Robinson is a super coach, and he will be looking at exactly what went wrong. And sure, we had the Knights running at us. It's different having Bradman Best, Heimel Hunt, Lachlan Miller, those guys, compared to Tedesco, Suwali'i. Who else is in there?
Even like Matt
Daniel Tupou.
Oh, yeah.
Then you've got Matt Lodge.
Yeah, he'd come back.
Waria Hargraves.
Yeah.
Victor Radley, like they've just got Sam Walker. They've got a staunch pack. So I love it because this is going to be a bellwether. We're going to know where the Warriors are at. The Warriors are coming off playing to a game plan, executing it, and getting the win. So I think this is going to be a tight game.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tight game. And if the Warriors come out of this with a win, I'm going to keep my grand final ticket.
Oh, my God. You've already bought one?
Well, maybe just flights.
I mean, I agree. I think the Dolphins have shown the blueprint of what you have to do. It's lead with defense. Holy cow, every time the Roosters got the ball, they got an absolute hiding from any one of these middle-aged Dolphins players.
Yeah.
We've got the guys to do the same thing. We need to do that and not let them execute their plans. We need to somehow poke Radley in the eye so he's gone for ages, and somehow cut the cheese down so he's gone for ages as well.
Yeah, so the thing is, the cheese is going to be an interesting running game of nines, because the cheese and Wade Egan are both darters at a dummy half.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. You're so right. We're going to have our line speed on their backs is going to be the big thing. We've got to cut down time so Tedesco's got no time, because there was a beautiful try that Tedesco didn't score, but where he just stopped, jinked, then passed. They've got so many good ball players. My league head says the Roosters will win this.
Of course.
But I think we're actually in with a chance. And if we can keep this tight, that's going to be a good outcome.
And just, if anyone from the Warriors is listening right now, imagine the Roosters starting the season 0-2 against the Dolphins and the Warriors. That would just be so freaking amazing. Oh, my God.
That would be ruining tipping comps.
Oh, it'd be so good. Oh, by the way, I'd like to issue an apology to Tohu Harris. Stayed at the Ridges in Wellington there on Friday night. Thursday night. They were all staying there. It was about 9:30. I was hopping into the lift. Tohu was in the lift already. And I was like, oh, g'day, mate. Hey, how's it going? And then I took about 4 minutes to make my swipe card work so that the lift would go up.
Oh,
Turns out I had 2 swipe cards in the little packet there.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, bro, they won't work if you've got 2 in the packet. And honestly, it took me about 4 minutes to get the lift to go up.
Now, there's a campaigner who's stayed in a lot of hotels.
Yeah, he
Don't
knew.
hit 2 in the packet, bro.
Yeah, he knew. Make sure you do join us again on Mad Monday next week. Mad Monday out every Monday. It's clever stuff, of course. No ACC commentary this weekend. We will be back for the week after and for every game for the rest of the season. Thank you very much for joining us from Chris Key and Dai Henwood. Good on you, mate.
Mate were.
And Australia without rugby league is not Australia.